And hello fellow tankers, Space Bandit here with another episode of World of Tanks, and today we are on map Ken again. Yeah, I don't know, for whatever reason lately I've been having good battles on this map. But we are mid-tier. There's no artillery in play. It's fantastic when there's no artillery in play, because like I said to you guys before in some of my videos, you don't have to worry about, you know, them shitting on you, so you don't have to be looking for cover, and you can play your game a little bit more open, I would say, when there's no arty. But anyway, it's a heavily tier 9 tier 10 battle, only one tier 8 per side, so it's going to be a good brawl, I think. So usually on this map I like to get myself in a central position, well, depending on the situation. If I see a lot of our tanks heading up north to D1, D2 area, and then, you know, A5 and D5 area, somewhere over there, I usually won't go there, but if there are no tanks going there, I will. So I'm trying to cover both sides of the map. So in this case, I actually went to location G5, and this is a pretty nice location here to support your light tanks. If they spot anything, you can actually get your shots across, or you can get shots across into the guys that are poking over the middle ridge, and you're usually gonna have medium tanks and light tanks doing that. But as you noticed, the enemy scout is already on our side of the field here, on our side of the map, almost on our side of the map. So that tells me that there's a lot of enemy tanks pushing through the south. That's usually the case. You guys pay attention to that. Whenever you see light tank going in very far on one side of the field, it usually means that there's a lot of enemies coming that way, from that side. Now if you pay attention to the middle, we're getting pushed quite hard through the middle by these heavy tanks and medium tanks. So I need to switch my attention to the middle at this point. Looks like Leopard is trying to take a shot at me. I'm gonna try to punish him here. He's soft enough, I should be able to put a shell into him, and I do. I just want to make sure that I pay attention to them so they don't execute us. We need to make sure we push them back as far as we can at this point in time. Luckily the bad shot got tracked, so we put a shell into him and punish him. Then he gets finished off by our friendlies. That said, luckily we do have a light tank here, the T-49, and light tank presence on this side is very important, because if... yeah, and here I expose myself to Patton. He takes a shot at me, he penetrates me, unfortunately. But at least we have a light tank here to defend in case red tanks or red light tanks YOLO across the ridge here. We have a light tank to counter, and that's very important, because me as heavy tank, it's really hard to counter a light tank, right? So here I'm gonna try to poke out, take a quick snapshot. As you can see, there's a lot of enemy tanks already coming from the south. They're pushing hard through the south. So at this point I'm thinking, okay, I gotta get myself in a better defensive position. And M103 is a ridge fighter, so I want to make sure I do nothing more than expose my turrets. So I'm looking for a hold down position here. That's why I'm backing up. And this place here is going to serve as a nice hold down position. So I think that's where I'm going to kind of hunker down and start defending from this side, using my gun depression and the ridge in front of me. So we see this Foch pushing through. We took a shot at him, but unfortunately it bounced. I think it went a little bit too low. Now he presents his sight to me. We take a shot, we ammo rack him. It's a good shot. Now see this Waffle on the left side. He's not playing this tank correctly. He's overexposing his tank too much. I think it would be better if he slid down to the right side of me behind that rock and use his turret to just poke out and shoot at these guys. Waffle unfortunately doesn't have any gun depression. Now I don't have that tank, but I know for a fact that they don't have good gun depression. But at least I have him here to protect me, so these guys are not gonna just spill over into the field and just run me over because the Waffle is here. I'm sure they're gonna pay attention to him. But we're getting pushed hard from both sides. It looks like we're losing on the other side of the map. The same here, we're kind of trying to hang on as much as possible. So I switched to heat rounds right here because I really want to make sure I start penetrating my shots here. Yet I do bounce. That wasn't a good shot at all. But again, I need to start penetrating my shots. So I see this button. He's tracked, so we're going to put a shell into him. And that button's going to be a thorn to us until the end of the game. So here we see E5 cruising by through the middle, totally exposing himself. But unfortunately, I underestimated my reload and I tried to pull the trigger too early, so I didn't get a shot at him. So we're going to try this again, and this time we succeed. Right here, we ammo rack him. So yeah, he's just completely overextended here. He's not paying attention to me or my other tank destroyers. But unfortunately, he gets taken out before I can put another shell into him. Way to throw your tank away, buddy. Way to go. So yeah, we're gonna hold on to this position. It's a good defensive position at this point. There's a tank destroyer at G1, so he can potentially provide crossfire from there. I have two tank destroyers in the middle. There's a waffle. And there's another tank destroyer at E5, F5. He turns out to be an E4 that later on doesn't help me in the game at all. Well, he sort of helps me at the end, but it wasn't the play that I was expecting from him. And we can talk about that later. So, as you can see, the game is relatively close. We're actually losing by a tank. Here I can see Conqueror poking out. So, I'm going to use that rock in front of me and the ridge to try to take shots at him. Hopefully we can take him out of the game. Now from this angle and heat loaded, I can easily shoot his upper plate, so that's what I'm doing. And he's not shooting at me, I don't know why. But look at this waffle, and that's what I was saying. He's got no gun depression, so he's overexposing himself in order to get shots. And unfortunately, he gets taken out by the Death Star. So that wasn't a very smart play from him, because right now he's gone. And since he's gone, these guys probably gonna have no trouble and try to run me over. And take a look at the other tank destroyer, the E4. He decided to scoot across the empty field, and he's gonna go for cap. And I don't understand that. I need him here to stay with me and fight these guys at this point in time, not run away, because it's going to be much harder for me to defend on my own, especially if Button decides to come back to here and engage me at the same time as Death Star. But I guess I'm all on my own now. Here we see the side of a Conqueror. He doesn't square up. Basically, he doesn't side scrape properly, so I punish him for that. And unfortunately, Patton crosses because I was on a reload. So it's going to be just me and this tank destroyer at E1 holding this position and protecting our base. Because, like I said, the E4, our E4 decided to go for the cap instead of fighting with us. Now, the biggest threat to me is this Death Star. And I'm taking quick snapshots here because the last thing I want to do is overexpose myself and let Death Star hit my cupola on top and just take me out and, you know, just throw the game. That's the last thing I want to do. So, you see a lot of inaccurate shots. That's because it's on purpose. I'm just poking out trying to take shots, right? I'm missing some shots, obviously, because my reticle doesn't turn red. But, you know, if you don't shoot, you're never gonna hit anything, right? So that's the idea here. So now it's kind of dangerous for me here as well. Here I'm gonna try to take a shot at this Death Star again. Hit his side, beautiful. We take him down to very little health. Now this button is kind of a threat to me right now because he's kind of, I'm in a crossfire between him and the Death Star. So I still want to hang around here. I still want to take this Death Star out. It's an important thing for me, but I get spotted there, and the sneaky Patton puts a shell into me. So at this point in time, I know that I cannot stay here. I need to make a move. And at this point, I was hoping that there's no one in the middle of the field, so I can take the field over towards the Death Star and take him out of the game. But at the same time, our E4 spots the enemy's waffle. So this is great because now we can basically take him out of the game here. He disappears, unfortunately, but he reappears again. So we're gonna try to take him out of the game. Yes, and we take our very important tank out of the game. The game is really close, guys, 3v3. So it's gonna be a nail biter until the end of the game. You can see our tank destroyer at D2 taking on the heavy tank. So that's 1v1 battle here. Another 1v1 battle here is between me and this Death Star. So the last thing you want is something like this. Actually, Patton right now is overcrowding the other side, and they take out our tank destroyer. So we are down in numbers, which is not good at all. So I decided to make a play. I need to push this Death Star. I need to take him out of the game in order to even our chances. And I'm hoping here that the Patton, the enemy's Patton, is actually gonna go for our cap and try to decap instead of paying attention to me. That way I can just engage the Death Star 1v1 and potentially take him out of the game. So we see him here. I see a little bit of his sight, but unfortunately my shot bounces. I shot a little bit too high because of the unevenness of that ridge. So here I'm thinking, what should I be doing? I probably should have went straight in here, use my gun depression and try to hit his top bar on his turret. For those of you that don't know, that's Death Star's weak spot. But I tried to go to the other side to see if maybe there's a better access point here, but there isn't. So that's not gonna work. I'm gonna try to come back to the same position I was in before. Last thing I want to do is expose my tank and him penetrating me and taking me out of the game. So I can take a splash shot here from him. I just don't want him to penetrate me. So here I'm gonna poke out and I see his turret, that bar over there. I should have penned that and I didn't. And he puts a shell into me, unfortunately. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go around, we're gonna take him out of the game. And we aim a shot at his sight and it misses. It goes into the ground. I was like, oh my gosh, what's with the RNG here? And I was hoping here he doesn't reload before me. And I want to make sure I aim that shot. I want to make sure I hit that top plate. And there was potential that I would have bounced that too, because that top plate is at such an angle that I might have bounced that, but I didn't. And luckily we penetrate that shot. We take him out of the game. So it's 2v2, guys. A very close game. At this point, I told myself I need to scoot down as quickly as possible to save our tank destroyer or to help him, because I know that Patton is going to be there, is going to engage him at some point in time. But I'm just hoping when I'm cutting through the open field that I don't get spotted. And I do get spotted. Looks like Type 4 heavy on the other side of the field, just barely misses. So it was perfect timing for me to get away here, because if he hit me there, I would have been dead and this game would have probably been over. So now the idea for me is here to come up the F0, F9 ridge right over here to see if I can get some shots at this Patton that's poking through the middle. But the interesting thing is going to happen here. The Patton's going to expect me poking up here. Take a look at this. I'm poking up and he knows I'm here. He puts a shell into me right away. So he was paying attention to this position. Smart play by him. Very smart play. So I have to be really cautious here. Looks like he's aiming for my cupola. That's a real weak spot on M103. I can barely see him. So yeah, I want to make sure I don't overexpose. I cannot afford to get taken out in the game right now. I have to play it smart. Now anything that hits me now, I'm dead. So I have to be really cautious in case Patton is using HE rounds. So all I can do is just use this ridge in front of me to see if I can fight off this Patton. And here I spot the Type 4 heavy. So this is going to be just a patience game, guys. Now one thing I'm afraid of is that Patton is going to come around from my left. I'm a one hit, so probably that's what he should have done. Come around from the left and taken me out of the game. Although he's a one hit to me as well. So it would be whoever, you know, whoever hits first wins the confrontation, obviously. Although Patton has the advantage because he can shoot HE round at me. And I actually have to pen him. Anyway, all I'm doing right here is just trying to spot these guys. Looks like Patton came to the other side and he's engaging our tank destroyer. I'm not sure why he's doing that, because Cap is irrelevant right now. He should have came after me, that's for sure. Especially since Type 4 is here, and if he came from the left side, then he could have easily taken me out of the game. Here, beautiful shot by our E4. Takes out the Type 4 heavy. So that's all I wanted to do. I wanted to just come up the ridge here and keep spotting him. So right now we have the advantage, and all I want to make sure is that I don't die, because if I die over here, it could come to a draw or the situation where cost damage would determine who wins the game. So I want to make sure I stay alive, and if I do stay alive here, then we can win this game easily. So I didn't give in to this button. He did try to take a shot at me, but at the end of the day, we won because we destroyed the most vehicles. So close game, guys. Nail biter all the way to the end, but I never gave in, and that was the most important thing. Unfortunately, we lost some credits because we fired some heat rounds, but we did manage to put up 4.5k damage. Not excessive damage number, just your above average game in M103. We finished on top of the board with 1561 base XP. Not bad at all for tier 10 game. We managed to fire 27 shots. We had 18 direct hits, only 13 penetrations. So efficiency wasn't the best in this game. But again, I took a lot of snapshots just because I didn't want to overexpose my tank. And even though M103 has some armor, that cupola is so weak, almost anyone can penetrate it. And everybody pretty much aims at that cupola on top of the turret. So I don't play M103 lately. I do have 2 marks of excellence on it, but lately matchmaking in this tank for me has been really horrible, so I haven't been playing it much at all. Although I did jump into a few games into this tank over the last couple weeks, and I had few good games. This was one of them, so I decided to present it to you guys because it came down to the last second. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Go check out CloneGuy72 and Got a Dinghy. That's it for today. Until next time, happy tanking, Space Bandit checking out.